Okay, good evening / good morning again, everyone. This is vlog number 2 about my mental health during Mental Health Awareness Month. Just first check-in. I definitely fed into a bad habit I have, which is not sleeping or sleeping very few hours when I feel like I haven't done enough, which I will hopefully eventually tag. Um, I'll tag the name or like the, what is that called? I'll tag the name of what that's called, but it's like a toxic behavior where, you feel like you haven't done enough in the day, so you don't sleep enough, or you like forsake sleeping, which is like very unhealthy and can definitely lead to like episodes of like depression or anxiety from because like sleep is so important, which yeah, it's definitely one of my mistakes because I used to like proudly forsake sleep and I'll sleep when I'm dead. I mean, I still believe that to an extent, like, on prioritizing like fun or like prioritizing experience, but like on the daily, like not sleeping to work, like again, that's like toxic behavior. So I'm doing something good and I'm visiting a very dear friend of mine for her birthday. So um, my video is definitely not going to be as edited or as pretty as yesterday's. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to even edit it on my phone. But yeah, so just to start from the beginning, I was having a couple conversations with some folks because this dear friend also was in my department, environmental studies, and also studied ethnic studies. Yeah, just talking with her, it's like good to like talk with people about like the origin of how this all happened because like it's amazing to think that I didn't see this as a problem and like, uh, yeah, when you haven't learned how to prioritize like taking care of yourself, I mean, how would you learn it until a really bad experience happens or like somebody with more experience, like either you gain your own experience or somebody with more experience or like the nuanced experience that you're like heading towards warns you and like unfortunately I had neither or well not I had neither I had to gain my own experience. So yeah, we were just talking about the fact that, and I try to talk openly about this to people when I see them, and that will hopefully include a lot of you who will be watching this. It's like literally the first, like kind of a lot of my mental health issues started my first semester of studying, of transferring to SF State and studying environmental studies. And I mean, I actually do remember like getting to the point like such stress so acceleratingly fast that within the first semester of starting to study environmental studies, like I became like started having suicidal ideation. And it's like, I had studied environmental, like climate change. Well, not, I'm sorry, like again, I'm tired. I didn't sleep yesterday. And now it's 12 a.m. the next day. So, yeah, yeah, I'm just like a little sleep deprived. So my brain, but yeah, like studying environmental studies, like I had studied climate change. I meant to say global warming as it was called before. I studied climate change in community college. I had been getting aware of it like as a teenager, like in my early teens, like like 13, 14. So, by the time I had transferred to SF State, like I had known about, global warming as it had been called when I first started learning about it for like almost a decade. I mean, yeah, like 13, 14 to 22 when I transferred. Part 2. So, the acceleratingly fast, mental reaction, and like the like having the ideation of suicide so quickly. Like again, I didn't even think about it in terms of dates or like time until literally I'm talking to this camera right now, talking to you all through this camera. That it really was like 8 or 9 years. Yeah, let me just 13 to 22. Yeah, that's 9 years. So like 8 or 9 years in case I was like 14. But yeah, I had known about global warming. It became climate change in those almost 10 years. I had known about it for all my teenage years. I had talked to people, and I literally actually had an experience in high school, like 16, 17 years old, arguing with the father of an old friend who was using Michael Crichton's State of Fear, the back of his book, which is a fictional book. I had an argument with a grown man about climate change. He was denying climate change. He was a climate change denier, and he was referencing Michael Crichton, who wrote ER and Jurassic Park. That same Michael Crichton referencing his fictional book that climate change wasn't real. So it's like, I'd had all these experiences growing up, and then finally at 22 I transfer, and like I go full force in studying environmental studies. So from my first semester, weeks in, months maybe at the most, I was already like, damn dude, it's too much. Like, we're not gonna make it. Like, this is like, I'm part of the problem. Human being, Western human being, American human being, not even just a Westerner, American, like, the belly of the beast of the problem of, the historical problem. I was just like, damn, dude, like, I need to not be here. So, when I think about the origin of even just that, and it's like, I literally didn't think that that was not normal. Like, I just kept going on. Like, that was like, oh yeah, people just start considering suicide, putting all this guilt and blame on them, uh, just because of where they were born, that if I was gone, the environment would have a better chance without me. And this is what started informing my thinking. This was 2014, fall of 2014, for the last almost 7 years. Maybe I'll say six, because it was like it was like, yeah, like I hit rock bottom of, like, again, spoiler alert, like I am going to end my life. Like in July of 2020, that's when I was like motivated to do it. So, 6 years of just like having this guilt of, like, if I was gone, I'd be one less American, one less Westerner to use 1/4 of the global resources, being such a small percent, like 5% of the world population. Again, I'm tired, so those statistics might be off. I can fact check it and then like update it in the comment section, not comments, but like the caption section. But I guess I don't want to make this too long-winded, especially because I'm not going to be able to edit it, and it's not going to look that good for today. But it's just like I told myself, I told you all I was going to do it every day. So, this is kind of like that next part of the story of, like, this all started with, and basically, like, in so many words, what started my mental ailments was what I can now, 6-7 years later, define as eco anxiety and eco grief, which is like the grief I was grieving, the loss of habitat, the loss of species, the extinctions that have already happened, like the destruction of the rainforest globally. The Amazon obviously always gets talked about, but this is happening, in Central Africa, like, in, parts of Asia, like, rainforest and forests all over the world are being bulldozed for, all types of corporate projects. So, yeah, it's, oh, there we go. This is about to cut off again, so I hope this is not going to be too long. Yes. So, yeah, it became a lot. I put a lot of the guilt on myself. And so I was grieving, eco grief, grieving the loss of so many things. And then at the same time, in tandem, having eco anxiety, thinking about it's like we're not going to make it. There's no point in continuing on. Like, we have this amount of time to fix it, and like a large majority of the American populace does not know and or care. And then, it's like, all these species, again, back to the loss, like anxious about never seeing, these species in the wild, slash just the anxiety of them dying, but that's like kind of more with the loss. But to bring it to the species, like my species level, right? Because I do care about the species of the trees and all the insects and animals that live in the forest that are being lost to corporate power. But it's like, to then center my own species, it's like, we might not make it. Like human beings, there's going to become a time where the world, the plant's not going to be habitable. It's going to be too hot. And, if we're, undercutting the, like growing seasons, by making water more scarce and changing the climate, it's going to be harder to be growing enough food sustainably. So are there going to be enough, is there going to be enough food for yeah, I mean, for my descendants? So is there even a point of having children? Like, what a sad thing to ruminate on. And it's like, yeah. This is the type of shit I used to just think about all the time. This is the shit I used to just think about day in and day out. Like, and it's like, damn. And then having all the guilt on me and feeling like I'm one more American, Western, privileged Californian who's just like inadvertently using resources because they're run on coal and natural gas, and like that's something I have very little control of, and then just holding all that guilt on myself when it's like, even though we learned in a sense in our program that it's a systematic, solution, it's like you can't help but in a way put that guilt on yourself, especially when you aren't learning the coping mechanisms to deal with these. Because like, again, both of the anxiety and grief and grief, depression that I've experienced, they are rooted in like my knowledge of the environmental crisis. Like, and then spoiler, I've got about a minute and a half, and I do not want to make this longer than 15 minutes. It's like, I keep saying spoiler. Basically, then this anxiety about the planet, this depression about like the loss of so many beautiful things, like our cousins. I mean, our insect and animal and plant cousins. It permeated into every part of my life. So then I started getting anxious about contacting people and picking up the phone and like sending emails, opening emails, just depressed about life, just sleeping through days. And it's like all the while for a long time I was functioning. So once I get back home, I'm definitely going to explore that more, but I just want to make sure I got these videos done because, you say it, you got to do it. That's part of like holding myself accountable and getting better. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening again today. And I just, every day that I reach out and, see good friends like I'm seeing, I haven't seen this friend in I think like a year and a half. I mean, obviously we're living through a global pandemic, but, even still, it's a long time. Every time I see good friends in person, I reply to you all and I make these explanation videos. Like, I'm getting a little bit healthier each time. So I thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Much love and positive vibration.